we are going to get on with our next talk. Luis Bosque, and he's from Spain, and he's going to talk to us about maps and spatial data. And as you can all know, maps and spatial data have absolutely changed our world, how we're interacting with these things on our mobile devices, and how they've really moved into almost everything that we're doing today. And he's going to talk about geospatial product evolution and sort of what does it mean and where are we going for here. So please have a round of applause for Luis Bosque.
Thank you. So, hi. Thank you very much for having me here. I would like to tell the story about what we have been working on in CARTO for the last month. But before we start with this story, I would like to say that 2 months ago, we were CartoDB. CARTO is our new name. We changed our name, and it's more or less an important part of this presentation. And if I want to tell this story, I need to create some context. And I'm going to start by introducing Visuality. Visuality is a company that creates projects based on data visualization in order to improve the world a little bit. Like, for example, with tools to monitor or to detect deforestation in different areas of the world. So CartoDB was born as a way to help not only Visuality, but also everyone to visualize their geospatial data on a map. And the main goal of CartoDB since the beginning was to democratize location intelligence, because everything happens somewhere. I mean, there's always a location factor in every story you tell. The problem is, we realized that only skilled people were able to answer really complex questions with CartoDB. So we created CARTO. So CARTO brings all the analysis power to everyone, not only to developers, which was the main problem before. And the goal of CARTO is to help companies and individuals to take better decisions, better strategic decisions, based on basically the insights they can obtain from analyzing their data. And we have a builder, which is our new product. We have a builder that allows you to create analysis from your data. We have an engine, which is actually a group of services that are used by the builder. And we have also an ecosystem of data services that basically are there to enrich the user data. Like, for example, with geocoding, routing, isolines, or curated data, for example, like different countries' census, and those things. We call that, this group of curated data, we call it data observatory. And I would like to show some common use cases in CARTO. Like, for example, financial institutions are able to improve or create new products based on the analysis, or when they analyze for example, the purchases behaviors of their clients. Also, cities all over the world are already using leaf analysis from different sensors in the city in order to improve their citizens' lives. Also, CARTO, and before CartoDB, has always been a powerful tool for journalists. They can understand and communicate better some stories through analysis of some data and demographic data we can provide. Also, energy companies can be more efficient if they are able to analyze their users' resources consumption. And a good example of nonprofits is a pretty old example, actually, is, for example, the map that Jon Snow created in 1854 in order to detect the source of a cholera outbreak in London. So basically, non-profit organizations and investigators can use CARTO in the same way in order to try to detect or predict the patterns of a disease spread. Also, manufacturers and retailers are able to take better decisions about the location of their stores if they can analyze some demographic data. This is an example with the new builder. This is a retailer analysis. This basically involves the location of the stores, which are the red points, some demographic data that we can provide through the data observatory, some information about per capita income in different parts of the different neighborhoods, and also different businesses trends categories. So basically, analyzing all this data together, a retailer can predict the success of the different stores in the city over time. But what is the thing here? I mean, these old companies have been taking decisions based on location data for decades. I mean, this is not new. I mean, nobody put a store randomly anywhere. So basically, the innovation about CARTO is to bring the user experience, bring the technology, and all the data services in order to help users to answer their location questions by themselves, which is actually more or less the important thing here. This is not only for developers anymore. And remember, we want to democratize location intelligence, so this means that everyone should be able to do this kind of analysis and get this type of insights. And we are able to offer this kind of service because we understand the industries, and we understand their analysis needs in order to improve their businesses. So with all this knowledge, we can create different tools and provide these services through CARTO, so they can able to solve by themselves these problems. So in order to emphasize, I mean, I'm talking about the new builder, which is our new product, which is focused on analysis. And in order to emphasize this evolution of our product, we also changed our name. As I said before, we are now CARTO, but we have not changed only the name. We have changed the name of our product, which, as I said, is the builder. Changing the name of the product, it may seem kind of tricky, but for us, it's pretty straightforward. I mean, we don't like buzzwords. We chose builder because it's about creating analysis. It's not about editing information. So, I mean, it's self-explaining, this name. And also, the CARTO name helps to explain the value of the company. We basically provide visual answers to answer complex questions with maps or with maps. And there's a thing about changing the name. I mean, it can be kind of frightening at the beginning. I mean, change your name. I know maybe people don't recognize us because we changed our name, but for us it was kind of easy because actually people were already calling us CARTO as a nickname when they refer to us. And this actually, I mean, we didn't change our ID in the world. So, but there's another thing which actually is much harder for us than changing our name, which is, for example, stop using a blue shirt with a very nice elephant in the middle and start using a red shirt with a uppercase logo. Actually, I'm wearing right now the old shirt, so you can see how hard it is. So these are two big projects in just one. And we create a new builder, and we change the name, a full rebrand of the company. So this is kind of big. And we wanted to release everything at the same time. So for us, the only way to do this is creating deadlines. But hard deadlines are very hard. We required perfect synchronization across all the teams of the company, which was also a challenge by itself because we have now teams that, for example, didn't exist 1 year ago. we are a startup. So last year we grew a lot. So we had new people in the company. We had new teams. So right after that, try to accomplish a big project is kind of challenges. And we started with a clear idea of the final picture of our release. But it has been a long process. I mean, we have been working on this big project for more or less 6 months, since January. And the picture has been slightly modified. I mean, some features have been dropped from the final release, so things have changed, basically. And when you do that, basically that's the perfect definition of releasing early. For us, it's kind of normal, because we are used to release early and release often. We try to release several times per day in order to fix bugs and introduce small improvements. But your users need to understand also this culture. This is kind of tricky too. We are pretty lucky because our community is always willing to use your product even if there are some features that are not implemented yet. Well, this is, as I said, it's been a lot of months of work, of intense work, and having stress in the team it's kind of normal. And that's okay, having the stress. But as long as the stress is not part of the culture of your company, and your team is fully aligned and motivated. So for us, this project has been a success. And this is because, or we believe that this is because we have people that cares. People that cares about the company's success and that cares about the quality of their work, actually. Also, about the culture, we believe that people join CARTO because they like our values, and they stay at CARTO because they like the culture, basically, and the work we work together. So this is important. Every company has a different culture and based on different visions and different contexts. But in the end, it's basically the main ingredient that makes people happy and makes people to stay in your company. And also, finally, we also have a very diverse team, but more importantly, we have expertise in your team. I believe that at the beginning of the startups, a lot of expertise, not always, or depending on the startup actually, a lot of expertise is not always very necessary, but as the more you grow, the more expertise you need. And I'm not talking about very specific skills. I mean, I'm talking about having people that has experience on working on big projects, or working with big teams, or working with a lot of different teams and keep an alignment. So there's a lot of work involved in this month. So I wanted to highlight some of the key parts. And everything started basically by defining the new builder, actually, and the technology involved in supporting this new builder. Also, before defining the new builder, obviously, you need to have a clear vision about your use cases and targets. They are actually the main driver of any evolution of any product. And if you have this, obviously you already know the strategic value of your company. And there's one thing also. In the new builder is focused on analysis. So we created features and workflows that didn't exist before. So this means that we need to create new price plans. And this is also very related with the use cases. I mean, creating price plans from your different use cases. Related to the brand definition, there is a lot of work too. I will talk a little bit later. But it starts defining your company position in the market. So that's something key. I mean, you need to know the value that your company is going to offer, that your company and your product is going to offer in the market. And then it's the brand design itself, which is kind of a long process, not just changing colors or changing the logo. Actually, I believe this week we published a blog post about the entire design process. So you want to take a look, I think it's pretty interesting. We also have different types of content that need to be redone because of the new builder, because of the new use cases, new industries, and the new brand itself. We have the website, we have marketing content, webinars, trainings, etc. All of this needs to be redone not only because the content itself, but also because it changed the way we tell the things to people. We communicate things to people. Starting with the vocabulary. The internal vocabulary has changed also. During this month, we have done a lot of communication too. And I believe one of the key parts of this communication is communicating small pieces of the puzzle. So basically, during this month, we communicated, for example, strategic partnerships or new services that were going to eventually be a key part of the new builder, or even the data observatory. So all these things may seem unconnected, but once you have released, it helps people to understand better your new product and your new company, actually, your new brand. So this is hype. This hype is pretty important for us. And also, there is the communication of the release itself. I mean, releasing something, if you want to have success, will involve a lot of different communications from different type of users, and also the press release itself, which is entirely another world. Operations team has been very busy too, mainly with creating, for example, legal terms for new services, mainly data services, and also dealing with the new trademarks. We have been very careful too with the user onboarding. We wanted to gradually activate the new builder for these users. This will help basically getting feedback, validate our product, obviously, but mainly getting feedback from these users and be able to learn more for our new product. I mean, we are developing this product, of course, but one thing is having your idea about your product, and another different thing is putting this in production. And eventually, we also created a procedure to roll back a specific user in case there was any feature that this user could need before it was implemented. So we created a rollback procedure that I believe we have not used yet, this rollback. And of course, the technology. I mean, there's a lot of new technology. There are changes in the existing technology. The builder itself is new. The new analysis APIs, of course. New curated data and ways to consume this curated data. And we have also, we also needed to do some changes in our infrastructure. For example, CARTO is heavily based on PostgreSQL databases, which is the place where your users' data is stored. So in order to be able to support new features of the builder that for us were pretty key features, we needed to migrate all our users' databases to a newer version of PostgreSQL. So this is another communication more. I mean, this is something you need to communicate to the user individually. We did it without causing interruption in the service, but you need to communicate this to the user in any case. And you put this in the blog. And this also helps creating some hype, because this is another major change in a specific window of months. And we also implemented finally a business continuity. I mean, business continuity is kind of a strong concept, a strong word. But changes the name means changing the domain, at least for us. So basically, all the content of our users, we needed to keep this alive. So we created some business continuity plan. Well, I mean, there's a lot of challenges hidden in this project. Most of them have left pretty good lessons, at least for us. And I would like to talk a little bit about them, not in any particular order, actually. The first one is about communication. If you need to communicate a release, for example, and you need to reach people in different countries, it's a very, very good idea to work with a PR agency in that country. A PR agency that knows the media in that country and have contacts, obviously, and they know how to work with these contacts. Related to the rebrand, it's very important to give the rebrand of a company the importance it deserves. I mean, it's not just a small change in a logo or changing the name, which actually is pretty big, in my opinion, or changing some colors. First of all, you need to have a very clear idea about your identification, about the values of your company, the values of your product that you want to communicate to the world. So only after that, you can start choosing new fonts or new colors or changing the name, designing the new logo, etc. I mean, all these visual changes are not random, must be related to something so important as your identification of the company. The onboarding, more or less what I said before, I mean, we work on a good strategy onboarding. It's important to be able to get and transfer the feedback from your users. And it's important too because it requires constant communication with the user. I mean, you want to explain this user what the new builder is and how they can use deeply the new builder. Another thing is kind of related to methodologies. I mean, lots of companies have specific methodologies to work. We don't have any. I mean, we just work. Sometimes we implement some workflows that work. Sometimes they don't. So basically, if they don't, we keep changing. So during this month, one of the things we did is doing very, 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 very frequent internal check-ins in all the different teams. So basically, this helped detecting and solving problems very fast, which we had a lot, to be honest. And this is important. I mean, in this process, it's important that the leads and the managers of your teams have both responsibilities and importance to take constant decisions in order to keep the alignment in your company and across all the teams. Also related to the managers, we believe in having technical specialists as managers. I mean, for some business, some companies, having just managers, I think, is good. For us, it has more value to have people as managers or leads that really understand what is happening inside every team. So this also helps to keep this alignment in all the company. And there's one thing which I think is funny because I believe it more or less happened in all the startups, at least it happened with us, which is the concept of your product. I mean, what is your product? At the beginning, CartoDB was just a group of technologies. It was a Ruby on Rails application, a couple of Node.js APIs, the PostgreSQL servers, some Redis servers, well, different parts of the stack that work together in order to offer some kind of service. But it was technology. At the beginning, we were all engineers in the company. But obviously, when you grow, this changes. I mean, now Carto is much more. It's legal, it's support, it's documentation, it's operations, it's a lot of things. So this is important when you want to release, and even more if you have this philosophy or way to work of releasing early and releasing often, that everything in your product, in your full package, makes sense. If you launch a new release that should require some new legal information or even changes the pricing, everything needs to be updated, obviously. And there's one last thing, I would not call it a lesson, but I will call it a basic principle. But it's very related with this release early, which is try to maintain the quality of your work. When you need to release early, sometimes it is because you run out of time. I mean, you have a deadline and you need to reach that deadline. So I think you get to a point when you need to decide, let's do this work very fast and try to release as fast as soon as possible, or let's not release this, but we are going to compensate this lack of feature with extra documentation or extra support or something like that. I believe that quality should never be sacrificed in order to release early. And this is because, actually, two reasons. First of them, I commented before, people join your company because they care about the quality of their work. If you start sacrificing the quality of the work, people is going to leave, which is normal. I mean, nobody wants to do a city work. And the other thing is communicating to the user. I mean, you can communicate to a user that there is no feature implemented that released, and they can do more or less the same thing they want to do in a different way. You can train your support team in order to be able to give more information to the users. But you cannot communicate to the user that you released a broken piece of code and you are okay with that. I mean, they won't understand that. It's obvious. So the thing here is not lowering the quality of the work, never. And well, we get to the launch day. We released CARTO and the Builder on the 7th of July. And it has been a lot of work for several months. And people may see this as the end. I mean, oh, finally, we finished. Everything was released, everything is working, let's go home. Actually, this is the beginning. This is when actually the real fun starts. Now we have to improve our product, obviously, get the feedback from the users, and more importantly, in our case, we need to keep discovering new use cases. Because at the beginning, we defined some use cases which were the main driver of this evolution. But probably we forgot a lot of use cases, a lot of type of analysis that some companies may need to do. So we need to keep discovering and implementing new ones. And there's the on-premise thing, which is kind of tricky and scary. CARTO can be used in different ways. There's the online SaaS platform that everyone can use, can create an account, start using, start connecting data there, creating visualizations, creating analysis. It's also open source. We believe in open source. So since the very first day, CartoDB has been open source, and still is, at least most part of CARTO. So people can download and install it on their servers and even contribute with our source code with bug fixes or different things. And there's the on-premise. The on-premise is the version that we offer to our clients when they cannot put, for example, their data online because, I don't know, legal problems in their company or for whatever reason. So the challenge of this, I mean, we already had an on-premise version. The challenge of this, as I commented, is CARTO is not CartoDB. CartoDB was kind of some services, you put the data, and you visualize things. Now it's an ecosystem. It involves having data that we work on so can enrich the user, their own user data. So basically, we're working on a better strategy to be able to put the entire ecosystem in the data center of the users. And the Orbrand. What is the thing? The thing with the Orbrand is you have been living with this brand for a long time. And you have bounds with this brand. I mean, I'm wearing the shirt. I'm wearing it actually because we don't have the new ones, to be honest. But but I'm doing it, and I have bounds. I like this tiny elephant. But I mean, CartoDB is going to keep us company for a long time. We changed the name, we changed the domain, but the problem is this is a web product. There is a lot of content published, not only our content, the website and marketing content, also all the job or the work that our users created. They created visualizations, they published these visualizations, they publish the links in Twitter and Facebook, wherever, and lots of them have integrations with our APIs through the CartoDB.com domain. So basically, we have created redirections from CartoDB.com domain to Carto.com, and also created some reverse proxies in order to be able to keep processing the requests from this integration to our APIs through CartoDB.com. And basically, that's it. The main lesson we have learned, I mean, it's useful for us, is don't try this without the supervision of another. Otherwise, it will be horrible. So thank you very much.
Round of applause for Lewis. Thank you. Very interesting to hear about how you changed the company. And Alva had a great question on the Twitter. How does this relate to your company culture? Were your minds already changed in your company culture?
With the rebrand.
Yeah, were you before? Did that push the change, do you think? Or did the branding change the company culture? Which sort of came first in that?
No, I don't think the culture pushed the new brand or pushed the new product. We created this new product because we felt this is, I mean, we have this main goal since the beginning. It's important in every company to have a goal. Our goal is to democratize location intelligence. So we felt that we were not able to achieve this. So we created this product. And actually, this new product, this new evolution, is actually what triggered the new brand. Right. I mean, we felt that with the old brand, with the CartoDB, the DB kind of technical too, is not for everyone. So we needed to change our ID a little bit.
But it sounds a little bit like your company culture changed first because you were evolving, you were changing the product, you were changing how you worked, and then you said, wait, this is not reflecting, our brand no longer reflects who we are or what we do, so we better update that to then show the world what we do. It sounds a little bit like that.
Yeah, I think that the culture, internal culture, is the same more or less. People work in the same way. People have freedom. People have a good quality in their work, and the work and the way we work together. So this, I think, didn't change with the name. We're still trying to get used to the new brand, but this is that way. I mean, first the new brand came, and now people are trying to get used. So it's a little bit iterative, you're saying. So the people changed, then you changed the brand, but then that flowed back and changed the company a little bit. Yeah. Okay, when people saw that and saw the new image. Yeah. I was interested in, then how do your customers interact with you differently now? They're seeing a new logo, new brand, new ways of working, potentially. Have you noticed something about that image? I was kind of worried about that, because, I mean, you create a new product. Actually, the builder is evolution. It's a new iteration in order to get what we want. But it's kind of a strong communication. And we changed the name of the company. It's a very strong communication. I was kind of concerned that users can say, oh, what is happening? I mean,
sure, people often don't like change.
I'm using the service a way that is not the focus of the company anymore. But actually, it didn't change because training our support people and creating more documentation, we were able to show our users that they can be doing the same things, but they have more power. They really have the power now to get the insights. So it was kind of easy. It wasn't a problem in the end.
Sure. I mean, to me, it sounds like companies growing up. Growing up into a real adult now. Yay. Nice. Did anyone have any extra questions for Lewis out there before we go on? Did any more flash up in the meantime? No. Good. All right. Okay. Interesting. Very interesting to hear about the evolution of the company. Please, round of applause for Lewis Bosque.
Thank you.